First of all, I would like to thank the organizers, Professor Manish Diani and his brothers, for inviting me to give a talk here in this BICON 2016 in the session Smart Polymers and Multifunctional Polymers. Before I actually go into my talk, I would like to share a couple of slides on where I come from. I come from National Chemical Laboratory, which is situated in Pune, and this is the main building of National Chemical Laboratory, and which was established in 1950. NCL belongs to CSIR, Council of Scientific and Industry Research, and this is a government organization, and we have 38 laboratories like NCL all over the country, like NPL Delhi, IICT Hyderabad, IIT Dehradun. So there are so many laboratories like this, NCL, in our country, and we do research in chemical sciences, road science, biology, advanced materials, all kinds of research we do in these 38 laboratories. Well, the hierarchy of our CSIR is, we have President, who is the Prime Minister of our country, and Vice President is the Minister of Science and Technology. And of course, we have all the heads of 38 laboratories called Director General, who is headquarters in New Delhi. And of course, we have governing body, advisory board, and of course, various laboratories and the directors of each laboratory. Well, at NCL, we have about 300 scientists and about 300 total technical scientists and technical staff. And we have interdisciplinary research centers in the area of polymer science, organic chemistry, catalysis, material chemistry, chemical engineering, and process development. Since it's a government laboratory, we have excellent, equipments to do chemical science, and we have about 550 PhD students. You are all doing your bachelor's and master's here, and we have about 550 to 600 PhD students, and who continue for their PhD program at National Chemical Laboratory. And of course, we also publish about 350 international papers, international journals, and we also do applied research, and we file patents. When you do applied research, there is some intellectual property. So that property is saved by filing a patent. So we file a patent, something like 100 Indian and US patents, and we file about 100 patents. So we have different departments I mentioned to you. I don't want to go into the details. So I now come back to what is the budget of our laboratory. The budget of our laboratory is something like this is the 2014-2015 census, and you can see here something like 25 million US dollars, which comes to something like 1500 billion Indian rupees. So this is our budget, to do research and to do, biochemicals and salary, all kinds of the expenses from our laboratory. Now, coming back to my talk, the order of my talk is like I will briefly mention about what is water-soluble polymer. Professor Kaneko mentioned about solid plastics, bioplastics. People are looking for bioplastics because every plastic they want to be biodegradable, and that's why people are now looking for more and more bioplastics. But I work in a different area, not solid plastics, but I work in water-soluble polymers. And I also give you a brief idea about what are hydrophobically associated polymers, how do you prepare them, what is the molecular structure. Then we have some hydrophobic compounds from natural resource materials, and of course synthesis, and we also do some smart polymers like thermo-associating polymers. And of course I will give you some stimuli responsive systems, nanoparticles in polymers, super absorbent polymers. Yesterday morning, Professor Manish Diani mentioned about a film which can absorb 100 grams, 1000 grams of water, and which can be used for growing, vegetables, in the houses without more water. So I will also show you that we also work on super absorbent polymers, and I give you some conclusion about my talk. Well, I mentioned to you what are water-soluble polymers. As the name indicates, these polymers like water. They are hydrophilic in nature. Hydrophilic means they like water. So they are soluble in water. So they have functional groups which are hydrophilic functional groups. So they are called as water soluble polymers. And some of these examples are, you can see here, carbopols, carboxylic cellulose, polyvinyl alcohol, polyethylamine. Why they are so important? The important you can see here, they are used as thickening agents, gelling agents, and stabilizing agents, floculating agents, moisture retention agents. So they are all used in your cosmetics like creams, lotions, ointments, for example, in inks, and they are also used in paste, toothpaste. Suppose if you don't use a water-soluble polymer because they act as a moisture retention agent. If you don't use in toothpaste, after some time the toothpaste will get dry. You can't squeeze toothpaste outside the tube. So you need a water-soluble polymer as a moisture retention agent. So they are very important materials, but they have some drawbacks. Because your ointments, creams, lotions, they have lots of other compounds like additives. They have, they have different pH, they have salts. So because of this, the thickening agent, thickening property of the water-soluble polymer goes down. So there is some drawbacks of water-soluble polymers. In order to overcome these problems, now new systems have come called as the hydrophobically associating polymers. These are new systems, of course, they have been here for maybe 10 years, but they take care of some of the drawbacks of water-soluble polymers. So what are these hydrophobically associating polymers or hydrophobically modified polymers? They are basically water-soluble polymers, but you put small amount of hydrophobic compounds in water-soluble polymer. You have to use a very small amount, like something like less than 5-10 mole%. But if you use more, they become water insoluble because they are hydrophobic and they try to repel water, so then they become insoluble. So you have to add a very small amount of hydrophobic compound into water-soluble polymer, and then of course you see a very interesting viscosification, shear thickening, shear stability, temperature stability, and of course salt stability. I will show you some of the examples in my later slides, but these are the problems which are being overcome by using these kind of hydrophobically associating polymers. Now, how do you prepare them? You can prepare them by two ways. One is that you can do co-polymerization. You can take the polymerizations, like ethylene goes to polyethylene, PVC, vinyl chloride goes to polyvinyl chloride. So it's a polymerization reaction. So what you do is that you take hydrophilic monomer, hydrophobic comonomer, and then you do polymerization, so you get a hydrophobically modified polymers. But the other way is that you take a ready-made water-soluble polymers from the market and then do some chemistry. You add some hydrophobic compounds to these water-soluble polymers, and then you do something like a post-polymerization functionalization, so you end up getting hydrophobically associating polymers or hydrophobically modified polymers. This is very simple, and in our laboratory we follow this method because we can buy water-soluble polymers directly from the market, and you do some little bit of chemistry, and then you end up getting a hydrophobically modified polymers. So we follow the second method. I will show you some of the examples. So how do you put hydrophobic compounds? What are the ways of putting hydrophobic compound in a water-soluble polymer? You can put them randomly, like for example, this is the red color is the hydrophobic compound, and this is the polymeric chain, a hydrophilic polymeric chain. You can put them randomly, or you can make blocks of hydrophilic and hydrophobic. So you can make a block copolymers. And then you can also make, adjust the blocks, you can get a hydrophobically modified polymers, or also you can put the hydrophobic compounds at the end of the polymer. So it is like this thing. So this is a hydrophilic polymer, you put hydrophobic at the end of the polymer, and when you take this polymer and put it in water, they like the hydrophobic compounds come closer together and they make a flower-like micelles like this, and these flower-like micelles breach, and then they increase the viscosity of the polymer solution. So this is called, end capping of the polymers, and this gives a very interesting property of, increasing the viscosity of the creams, lotions, and some of the inks and all. So these are the modular structures one can put it. And now I come back to the, again nature, that we are using two hydrophobic compounds from the nature. One is, cashew fruit. You all must have seen a cashew fruit, and of course a cashew nut. Of course, everybody must have seen it. It's a very expensive cashew nut. Everybody use it. So this, when you take out the nut, the epicarp of this nut contains a non-edible oil. A non-edible oil which is inexpensive, and India makes a lot of this non-edible oil. So this is called cashew nut cell liquid. And this cashew nut cell liquid, chemically, it is like a phenolic structure. It's a phenol with a side chain of C15H31, and this C15H31 is a hydrophobic compound. So I take this hydrophobic compound to make my polymers, associating polymers or hydrophobically molecule model. Another compound is the trihydroxybenzoic acid, so called as the gallic acid, which is again obtained from oak bark, and is sumaca and all kinds of things you can see getting from the bio-based materials. And this has got 3 hydroxyl groups. I can put hydrophobic compounds here, and it has got a functional group here, so I can use it as for making hydrophobically associating polymer. So these 2 hydrophobic compounds I am using to make hydrophobically associating polymers in my laboratory. Now coming to that one example, this is a carbopol, this is polyacrylic acid. I use a cashew nut cell liquid hydrophobe that I would get it from nature, and I simply do a chemical reaction, esterification reaction, carboxylic acid and OH. So I get a polymer which is modified with this cashew nut cell liquid. And you can see here how the viscosity changes, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 orders of magnitude change the viscosity. For example, just the polyacrylic acid shows a liquid here. After modification, you can see a gel. From something like the viscosity has gone up so high, so that you get a very small modification, you get a very big change in the property. So this is one example, and we are trying to illustrate it. Long time ago, we also published this work, and we are trying to see whether industrially somebody can use this polymer for increasing the viscosity. So another example, same like polyvinyl alcohol. Here we have used the gallic acid, and gallic acid we have used with the polyvinyl alcohol. It's easily available in the market. And so we can do a simple chemistry, and we can modify this, and again you can see the same phenomena here, that it just increases the property of viscosity enormously. So another example, third example is the polyethylene glycol. I mentioned to you about the flower-like micelles. So you can buy polyethylene glycol from the market, and polyethylene glycol, PEG, it has got 2 functional groups at the end, OH groups, and you can modify OH groups with this kind of a compound, and then you end up getting a polymer like this. It has got hydrophobe at both ends. When you put them in the water, they form micelles like structures, and they show enormous exponential growth in the viscosity here, and you can see the phenomena happens here so nicely, and you can use these polymers for increasing the viscosity of your creams, wine, and solutions. So these are the 3 examples I wanted to show you, and I come to next part where I show you something like talk to you about smart polymers like thermoassociating polymer. All of you have heard that LCSD polymers is a terminal property of a system where normally when you want to increase the solubility of a polymer, you take it in the solvent, you warm it a bit. So you increase the solubility. Solubility is faster. But some of this polymer, the solubility goes down when you increase the heat. So they are called as LCSD polymers. So one of the examples is the polyanisopropyl acrylamide. This is the polymer, and the structure is like this. This is a N-isopropyl acrylamide. So it is a derivative of an acrylamide. So it has got a very interesting property of LCSD, which is at 32 degrees centigrade. If you take this polymer in water, a solution, and if you warm it, it just becomes insoluble in water. It comes out of water. But if you cool it, it becomes a clear solution. That means it has got LCSD phenomena. And if we want to use this polymer to make a spark polymer, what we have done is that we take this polymer and functionalize it. For example, in my next slide I will show you. If you take this polymer and attach it to any water-soluble polymer. For example, you take polyacrylic acid, you take polyvinyl alcohol, you take a carboxylic cellulose. If you attach LCSD polymer to that, it behaves like a thermoassociating polymer. That means it doesn't undergo phase separation, but it undergoes from liquid to gel state by increasing the temperature. For example, here you can see it's a liquid here. By heating, this is a liquid here. By heating, it forms a gel. So that's why it's called a smart gel. That means at room temperature, it's a liquid. At about 40 degrees centigrade or 37 degrees centigrade, it forms a gel. So it transforms some liquid to gel, and that's why they are used as smart polymer, and they are used in injectables in drug delivery applications. Like for example, you take this polymer and put the drug in the solution and inject into the body. The body temperature is 38 degrees and 37 degrees centigrade. So at that temperature, it forms a gel, and the drug is in the constant rate. So of course, there are so many questions need to be asked about this phenomena. A lot of research is going on injectable polymers for drug delivery applications. So this is one of the example, but I'm trying to see, you cannot inject any polymer into the body. It has to be non-toxic, it has to be approved by FDA. So I'm trying to make a polymer which is something like, polymer which is based on guar gum. You all know guar gum. Guar gum is the major production of Rajasthan, Gujarat, Haryana, and guar gum is basically a polysaccharide. It's called as galactoninos, and you eat the sabji in the house, guar sabji, and there is a small seed inside, and that seed is crushed and made into powder. That's a guar gum. So that polymer I am trying to use to make a associating conversion polymer. So you can try to inject it into the body so you can use it. So in my next slide, what I have done is that the polyanion superpowered acrylamide I have replaced with this one called japamine. Japamine is another polymer which has been approved by FDA. Okay, so this is basically a polyethylene oxide, polypropylene oxide copolymer with amino functional group. It is available in the market in the name of japamine, and you can have this functional group. And I used a carboxymethyl cellulose. Carboxymethyl cellulose, and you have got COH group here and an H2 group. Simple DCCI coupling reaction can give you a very nice polymer which can go, show as a conversion polymer. So this is the polymer which we obtain from a natural resource material. So this is one of the examples that we have done it, and of course, it shows a very, it shows something like here is a liquid, and after this temperature it becomes a gel. And the temperature is something like 42 degrees centigrade, and one can measure this association temperature by rheology. Also you can do by NMR, where you can see the minute as a function of as a function of temperature. You can see here at where the formation from liquid to gel takes place, the minute changes sharply. So you can see here one can measure the association temperature by NMR spectroscopy. And this is a very interesting technique because it's a molecular level technique where you can measure the association temperature of the gel. I think I have skipped some of these systems because I have another 15 minutes. I've taken about 15 minutes. So I come to now, so far I talked about physical gels. So there are chemical gels. Of course, that's mentioned yesterday. Professor Manish Biani mentioned about, as I told you, that I talked about superabsorbent polymers. Of course, superabsorbent polymer is one form of a gel. And what are these polymeric gels? These polymeric gels are basically a three-dimensional network structure, and they absorb copious amount of solvent. And they are not like a sponge. You take a sponge and put it in water. The water absorbs by capillary action. Whereas in case of these gels, the water or the fluid, the solid absorbs in the form of because of the osmotic pressure gradient. And you can't squeeze out this polymer to take over water, okay, like sponge. So they are different from sponge, different from capillary action. The absorption takes place basically because of the change in the thermospheric difference. So they are used a lot of applications. They are used as drug delivery applications, smart actuators. They are used as scaffolds in bioengineering. They are also used as the extracellular matrix for biological study. So the first commercial applications of hydrogen were shown by a Czechoslovakian scientist called Hydrophobically. He showed that polyhydroxyethyl methacrylate hydrogel for contact lens applications. This was the first application shown based on the hydrogels. Now, in our laboratory we have prepared hydrogels based on polyurethanes, polyethylene glycol, and isocyanate based hydrogels. For example, it's a very simple reaction. You take polyethylene glycol, you take isocyanate, you take a cross-linking agent. You simply one pot method, no solvent involved. You can use this reaction and you can get a very nice hydrogels here. And this is the dry hydrogel and this is the solon hydrogel. So these kind of hydrogels have very nice applications for scaffolds and implant. And so we have done quite a bit of work on this. Actually, we have used different diodes, and we have made a very nice polyurethane-based hydrogels. We also made a core structure. We have studied the mechanical strength of these hydrogels by using Ingstrom. We also studied the porosity of these hydrogels because porosity is very important for biological applications in tissue engineering and scaffolds. And we have done the porosity analysis by microchromatography, and we don't have microchromatography, but we have sent a sample to the United States, and we can find out that very nice microstructures of these polymers, and complex strengths are in the order of 0.2 to 0.3 megapascals, which is of course in this range. and we have made into a variety of shapes and these things. So I come to the next part where we have used a curcumin. You know our curcumin hardy. Hardy is a very nice chemical and it has got antibacterial property. We are trying to use hardy into hydrogels. For example, one of the example I want to, this is the curcumin structure, and we simply use curcumin in polyethylene hydrogels, and some part goes into a chemical reaction, chemical bonding, and some part is a physical interaction. So you see a very nice hydrogels based on curcumin we have prepared. So these are all curcumin-based polyethylene hydrogels, and they have, they show excellent antibacterial, antimicrobial properties, and you can make it to a variety of shapes and sizes. And these kind of hydrogels have a lot of applications in biological, in scaffolds and implants. Of course, we have filed a US patent because this kind of tubes can go into vascular grafts, vascular grafts in biomedical applications. So that's why we have filed a US patent. Of course, eventually, recently we have published a paper in Chemistry of Materials. Of course, they have excellent mechanical properties. Look at this, with the curcumin, it has almost got 4.6 megapascals, mechanical strength. And because of this curcumin inside this, the dissipation of energy takes place through curcumin, and the energy, the strength of the hydrogel has increased tremendously. So we have seen very good amalgamation here, and of course, we also have very nice compressions of these materials, and we have done the overall porosity. 77% of our size of about 200 to 400 microns, and wall thickness is about 25 to 100 microns. So of course we can change these dimensions. Recently, of course, last week this paper got published. We also made double cross-linked hydrogels. Like for example, we simply take polyethylene acid, we have diamine, and we have got two diamines. One is the japamine and then cysteamine. And cysteamine contains a disulfide linkage here. You get a hydrogel with two cross-linking agents, and selectively you can break one cross-linking so that you can increase the cross-link, decrease the cross-link density and increase the swelling ratio. So we can do this for storage of drugs, kind of a doxorubicin, and you can see here by selectively breaking one cross-linking, you can increase the drug release, and you can do it by tube by selectively. This of course published last week by RSA. Now of course we also done nanoparticles in gels. We have put nanoparticles in gels for catalytic applications, and I would like to show you one example that is very simple. You simply take these gels and put it in the gold chloride solution, oil chloride solution, and take out the gel. It absorbs oil chloride salt, and put it in the reducing agent. Then you can make nanoparticles of gold in the hydrogel matrix. And these hydrogel matrix can be used for catalytic applications. So you simply take, with the characterization of course, you simply take the reactions of nitramine, you want to reduce it to paraffinic diamine, you need a catalyst, gold catalyst, and you simply put that catalyst with the gel inside this reaction medium, and the conversion takes place, and you take out, and then you do the reaction. So finally, I would like to say a few slides on my dear topic called superabsorbent polymers. You all know superabsorbent polymers are used extensively because they absorb large quantity of water. They are basically used for baby diapers, in sanitary napkins, because they absorb body fluids, urine, sweat, and so they have a lot of applications. So I am trying to make again a superabsorbent polymer based on alcohol because they want a biodegradable superabsorbent polymer. So you can see here. This absorption capacity of about 200 and 1000, you can see a very nice absorption capacity of this material. So I would like to show, have you seen a superabsorbent polymer? Any of you have seen a superabsorbent polymer? Can I show a small demo? Look here, that if you have not seen, Professor Biani mentioned about the film, but we have a powder here. All of you can see here a powder, a white powder. I can show you how much it absorbs the water. You can see for yourself that it's a small amount. See, I have put a small amount of material in this glass. I can put a water in this, how it absorbs small amount of. So this is called a superabsorbent polymer. For example, I just put a little bit of water, maybe half a glass of water.
was they were not discovered in America.
They were not discovered in America accidentally. That what Professor Kaneko was mentioning, that people want to make a bioplastic. People are trying to make a bioplastic from starch. Starch is not a moldable bio. You know, plenty of starch, potato starch, corn starch. People are trying to make a biodegradable starch and a plastic, bioplastic. But unfortunately, accidentally, one lady was working trying to modify starch with polymers, and she accidentally found this kind of polymers. And these were discovered in America, but mass products are now coming from Sumitomo, Japan. And they are all, the major producers of this material, Sumitomo and BASF. They make this 800,000 tons of this material, and this is all based on polyacrylic acid. But I am trying to make a biodegradable superabsorbent polymer based on guar gum or hydroxypropyl guar or some of the polystyrene. Thank you very much for your kind attention.